Well, folks, we have a lot to talk about today. So, first things first, the Cleveland Cavaliers, because now the Guardian season is unfortunately over. Sadly losing to the Yankees. How about that guy right there, Mr. Donovan Mitchell? The Cavs got him via a trade in which they sent Colin Sexton to Utah to get him. Not to mention adding Ricky Rubio and Robin Lopez, but out of all the moves that Cleveland did in the offseason, I think that the Donovan Mitchell trade was the biggest one. In the draft, they picked up Evan Mobley's brother Isaiah, also from Southern California. As you can tell, the Cavs are going all in. One can only hope that the Cavaliers will go far in the playoffs, just like the glory days of a few years ago. First things first, some game recaps. Cavs against the Raptors, first game of the season, ended up being a loss, 108-105. Donovan Mitchell, 31 points, 9 assists in his Cavs debut. Jarrett Allen, remember him, he's a good player. 13 points, 10 rebounds. Darius Garland left with an eye injury. And then Pascal Siakam, 23 points and 11 rebounds. Cavs had an 8-point lead in the fourth and shot 49.4% from the field. In this game right here where the Cavs play the Bulls, it was Cleveland's first win of the season, 128-96. Donovan Mitchell, 32 points, 9 rebounds, 8 assists. Kevin Love, who is still on that Cavs team and still going on strong, 5 threes and 12 rebounds. Karis LeVert, 14 points, 8 assists. Zach LaVine, 23 points for the Bulls. They were up 8 in the first. And the Cavs shot 59.3% from the three-point percentage, which is pretty impressive if you ask a guy like me. Cavs against the Wizards. Cavs won a good one in overtime at the Rock, which was their first home game of the season. A 117-107 win. Donovan with 37 points, 5 threes. Jarrett had 15 points, 14 rebounds. Cedi Osman, 16 points, 6 threes. Bradley Beal, 27 points. Kristaps Porzingis, 18 points, 11 rebounds. Cavs led for most of the game, but the Wizards had a furious comeback down 15 points and ultimately forced overtime. And then there was last night's game, which featured the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Orlando Tragic. Yes, exactly, the Orlando Tragic. I tweeted that. I said Orlando Magic, more like Orlando Tragic. They are still yet to win a game this season. They are that tragic. Looking at the Cavs stats, if I can pull it up. I'm on the NBA app. Oh, there it is. I'm stupid. Evan Mobley, 20 points. Jarrett Allen went off. 18 points, 16 rebounds. That's right. Cedi Osman, 14 points, 7 rebounds, and 1 3 for him. Dean Wade made 4 threes and 12 points, which means all his points came from the three-point line. So things are going pretty well for him. Now time to hop over to NASCAR because the season's dying. The Homestead Miami 400 where Kyle Larson won for the third time this season. Unfortunately for him, he is not going to make it to the championship round. He's already been eliminated. He took home the first 2 stages and then won the whole thing. Ross Chastain in second, A.J. Allmendinger third, Austin Dillon fourth. 2 playoff drivers finished in top 10. That was the lowest amount of playoff drivers in the top 10 since the playoff format was first introduced. J.H. Nemechek spun out 30 laps into the race. Chase Briscoe's car was smoking on lap 160. Ryan Blaney spun out 51 laps later. Tyler Reddick spun off on lap 245. Now it's off to Martinsville and Phoenix, and only time will tell what happens next. All right, so now I would do Tommy's picks, recap, and then Tommy's picks, but this is going to be a little different this time because high school football playoffs are here, and I'm going to show you all the computer rankings courtesy of Joe Idle, a great guy who really works his tail off when it comes to it. First things first, Division 1, Region 1 right there on your screen. Every team made it to the playoffs in this region except for poor Euclid, who was on the outside looking in for the second year in a row. And there are many mismatches in the first round, in my opinion. Some of the biggest ones include St. Ed's Stowe, which is 116, St. Ignatius, John Marshall, which is number 5 against number 12, and Cleveland Heights, Lorraine, which is 4-13. And then there's some potential upsets. I think that Brunswick could quite easily maybe pull off an upset over Mentor at Jerome T. Osborne Stadium. And Strongsville did play Medina well in the regular season, losing to them 56-35. If they can stop Danny Stoddard, who is one of the nation's best quarterbacks in high school football, maybe they can pull off an upset. But in my opinion, I think at the end of the day, it's going to be those top-rated seeds that win it, except for numbers 8 and 7. Jackson and Wadsworth, I don't think they're going to make it out of the first round. And St. Ed's will ultimately be region champions. But really almost every school except for Stowe, Lorraine, and Marshall have a chance. Of course, it used to be 8 teams in the playoffs, but then starting last year, the OHSAA decided to make it 16. And I know that isn't really that popular amongst experts and high school football analysts, but I, for one, enjoy it because really it should be an 8-week season and everybody gets in. That's what I think it should be, at least. Because if everybody gets in volleyball, everyone gets in soccer, baseball, softball, basketball, I don't see why everyone can't get in football. But oh well.
The argument against it is a game like Stowe against St. Ed.
Yeah, that's the thing. Stowe has lost 9 straight. Their lone win came to Cuyahoga Falls. St. Ed's is one of the best teams, not just in the state, but in the country as well. They're the top-ranked team in the state, according to Drew Pastor. And Stowe is pretty much all the way down. That is a giant mismatch. But then again, it's sort of like March Madness, I guess. I mean, no seed lower than 8 has ever won the whole thing. Does that mean we should just make it 32 teams in March Madness? No. I mean, you never know. There was University of Maryland, Baltimore County a few years ago, St. Pete's last year, Oral Roberts the year before. And, of course, Gonzaga had that famous run in 1999. So, yeah, I'm just saying, anything can happen. And we saw a 16-team win, I believe, last year as well. I believe it was one of the lower divisions, but
there will be a lot of running clocks Friday.
Yeah, I've got a feeling about that, especially St. Ed's, Stowe, and, of course, as mentioned, St. Ignatius, John Marshall. Division 2, Region 5, speaking of some running clocks, we might see some out there as well, especially when it's Archbishop Hoban playing Willoughby South. And not to mention the fact that the Lakeside Dragons really don't look like they have the easiest shot against the Riverside Beavers. But you know what could be a potential upset? Solon Hudson. Hudson's undefeated, but Solon's had a pretty tough schedule this season. You never know what can happen there. But in the end, I think that the semifinals is going to come down to Hoban, Riverside, St. Vincent, St. Mary, and Walsh. Early exits are going to be Willoughby South, John Hay, Lakeside, and Mayfield. I think that St. Vincent, St. Mary, and Hoban will face off in the regional semifinals for a rematch in what was a good game earlier this year. A 28-14 win for the Knights, but the Fighting Irish still have a shot this year. And, of course, both the teams being situated in Akron, that might attract a large crowd, considering the fact that both teams don't have to drive that far to go to the neutral site, wherever it is. Walsh hasn't played Riverside this year, but I think that could be a good game if they face off. But I think the Beavers will win it, which means we have the region finals as Hoban, Riverside. Of course, Riverside did take down Chardon earlier this year, but I think that it'll be a little anticlimactic with the Knights winning and playing the Division II Region 6 champions. And speaking of D2R6, let's look at D2R6 right there. Well, folks, there are really 2, maybe 3 big schools. The 2 that are guaranteed are Avon and Toledo Central Catholic. The one that might be up there is Highland. As much as I love to put all my money on the Hornets, you got to think realistically. The Hornets, while have not been playing down to competition, which is a good thing, the one major issue is that the competition has been a little rather weak this season. And don't get me wrong, blowing teams out of the water is great, but then again, what happens when you play against a good school? Unfortunately, Anthony Wayne couldn't leapfrog Central Catholic, so that means if we win and make it to the regional semifinals, we'll most likely play the top team in D2 according to Drew Pastor and the fourth best team in the state according to Pastor in the Fighting Irish. And I have a bad feeling that that won't end up with a win for us. Not to mention the fact that Toledo Central Catholic, very similar to us, except they've played schools like St. Ed's and only lost to the Eagles by 3 on the road as well. The Hornets have revenge on their minds, praying for something like that. Avon and Olmsted Falls is also going to be a good one in the regional semifinals. I believe that will be a rematch of last year's regional semifinals in which the Eagles took down the Bulldogs in a rout. But in the regular season this year, it was a 63-42 win. And, of course, Olmsted Falls also wants revenge. Who knows? Maybe it'll be Highland Olmsted Falls. That would be kind of cool. Unfortunately, as you can tell, I'm thinking Avon and TCC will be the winners in that region, and the Fighting Irish will come away as champions and play Archbishop Hoban. And what will be a good game, but I think the Knights will have the edge in it. Division II, Region 7. Unfortunately, I don't know that much about Division II, Region 7 because a lot of those schools are from Columbus. But what I do know is that you do see a lot of schools from Northeast Ohio. You see Massillon, Washington, you see Lake, you see Greene, and you see Perry right there. Washington seems to be the main team that looks like they can win it all, but don't count out Westerville South, in my opinion, with a solid 9-1 record. And the Tigers looking for their first state championship since the playoffs were first implemented in 1972. And the last national championship they had was 1970, which is quite a long time. They will play the D2 RA champion if they win the region, which in my opinion, I think they will take down Westerville. I have an upset. I think St. Francis de Sales will take down Lake. I mean, that's just me though, just one of the few upsets in that region, including a Green victory over Big Walnut. Of course, D2 R8 features a lot of schools in Cincinnati, but in D2 R7, it's mainly Columbus with some Northeast Ohio. D2 R6, half and half Northeast Ohio, half Toledo. And D3 R9, mainly schools from Youngstown, Portage, and some from Canton. Chardon seems to be the heavyweight favorite in this region, but you can't sleep on Campfield, Ursuline, and Cheney. I think those 4 schools will be the last 4 schools remaining in this region. Cheney and Chardon haven't faced off against each other this season, but if they go up against each other, it should be a good one. Ursuline and Canfield haven't played each other either, but I think that will also be a good game. I think that the region finals will come down to Chardon and Canfield, where the Hilltoppers will win for the 3rd year in a row, Division III Region 9. They've played a lot of good games this season, including a win over a Florida school in overtime, I believe, and beating Olmsted Falls 14-7 at the wee beginning of the season. But they did lose to Riverside, as previously mentioned. But Drew Pastor has them as the 27th best school in the state, and I think they should make it to the Final Four again. They will play the winner of Division III Region 10, which we will have right here. I'm thinking it's going to be Tiffin Columbian. And just like, Division II Region 6, half the schools Northeast Ohio, the other half Toledo. And you also have some from Richland County as well. I could see a lot of upsets happening in Division III Region 10, with the big one being Lutheran West taking down the top-seeded Holy Name Green Wave. I think Bay is going to take down Norton in the first round. That will lead to Tiffin Columbian, Clyde, Cloverleaf, and Lutheran West in the semifinals. But I think that Lutheran West's crazy Cinderella run is going to end in the semifinals to Cloverleaf. And Columbian will defeat Clyde in the state or regional semifinals, which means we'll have Cloverleaf and Columbia. And Cloverleaf is my upset team, I guess one might say. But I think that in the end, Columbia will come away as winners, and they will play Chardon. Of course, that will be a good game. I think Chardon will win that game and go to their state finals trip for the third straight year. So, yep, that's a deep and in-depth analysis of the, high school football regions. Now time to go to Tommy's picks. First things first, high school football. Just high school football and college football today for the sake of time. St. Ed's is playing Stowe. I have St. Ed's as my lock of the week. Berea Mid-Park will beat Jackson. Cleveland Heights will beat Lorraine. St. Ignatius and Chuck Kyle's last season will beat John Marshall. Mentor to defeat Brunswick. McKinley will take down Glen Oak. Medina will beat Strongsville. What should be a high-scoring game. And another upset right there. Elyria taking down Wadsworth at Art Wright. Now for D2R5, Archbishop Hoban playing Willoughby South. I'm thinking that Hoban's going to win that. Barberton plays Rhodes at Sharkey, but I think Rhodes will come away as winners. Austintown Fitch against Mayfield, picking the Falcons. St. V. St. M against John Hay, picking the Fighting Irish. Hudson against Solon. I think Hudson's undefeated season will continue as they will beat the Solon Comets in what will be two future National Conference schools. One future National Conference school, one that's already in the National Conference in Hudson. Solon will be joining it next season. Walsh Jesuit will be playing Maple Heights. I think the Warriors will win it. Riverside will beat Lakeside, and Nordonia will beat Garfield Heights. Now time for Division II, Region 6, round of 16. Avon playing Westlake. I'm picking the Eagles to win that. Fremont Ross playing North Royalton. I'm picking the Loyal Giants to win that. Wayne playing North Ridgeville, picking Anthony Wayne to win it. St. John's Jesuit will fall to Olmsted Falls. Central Catholic, I think, will have a good, convincing win over the Ashland Arrows. Avon Lake will beat Southview. Highland will beat the Oregon Clay Eagles. Of course, I will not be live streaming that game because of OHSAA regulations, considering the fact that you have to pay to live stream a high school football playoff game, which is very unfortunate. But I will keep you updated on Twitter at Tommy Maroon Sports. And then North Olmsted against Valley Forge, picking North Olmsted. I'd love for it to be Highland North Olmsted in the regional quarterfinals because my mom is a North Olmsted graduate, and we never play North Olmsted. That would be a matchup I've been looking forward to for years. Division II, Region 7. Massillon Washington will take down Perry, in my opinion. Independence to beat Winchester. Watkins will beat Northland. Here's my upset of the week. Green will take down Big Walnut. Green did play Talmadge well earlier this season, but things have sort of fallen apart for the Bulldogs. But one can only hope that they will continue to surge upward now. Westerville to beat Kilbourne. Hoover's going to beat Licking Heights. Lake will beat Scioto. And St. Francis de Sales to beat Dover. Now on to Division III. Chardon will beat Akron East. Gilmore Academy over Geneva. The University School Preppers to beat the Kenston Bombers. Cheney will beat Alliance. Ursula and the Fighting Irish will beat Hawken. I think that VASJ is going to take down Talmadge. And then Canfield will beat New Philadelphia. And CVCA will lose to the Aurora Greenmen. And now for Division III, Region 10. It's Holy Name against Copley, picking Holy Name. Lutheran West will beat Scott. Cloverleaf against Defiance, picking Cloverleaf. Mansfield Senior against Firelands, I'm picking Mansfield. Clyde will beat Firelands. Bay will beat Norton. Tiffin Columbian to beat Rocky River. And Buckeye to beat Padawan. Now time for the NFL picks. Of course, I'm not doing college football as mentioned because of the sake of time, but don't worry, I'll do the NFL. Don't worry, I didn't forget. Buccaneers against the Ravens. Tom Brady's looking like he's never played a game of football before in his life. Baltimore is going to destroy the Buccaneers. How do you lose to Kenny Pickett and PJ Walker? Oh my goodness. And then a game in London, which I guess would be our very first Tank Bowl of the season. Tank Bowl, as Urinating Tree does it. Sucksonville playing Denver. I'm picking Sucksonville to win it because unfortunately both teams have been playing really poorly all season long. But I think that's what's going to happen. Falcons against the Panthers. I'm picking the Falcons. Cowboys to beat the Sea Bears. Free Willie's going to beat the Lions because they're the Detroit Lions and they always find many different ways to lose games. Vikings will beat the Cardinals. And then Tank Bowl again. What? Tank Bowl a second time? That is right. We have the Saints Raiders in what will be Tank Bowl number 2. And I think, yep, I did pick the Raiders to win that. And then Jets Patriots. Okay, don't worry. Enough of the NBA on NBC theme. I was not alive for that era, but I heard a lot of good things about it. Anyways, Jets Patriots. That would also be Tank Bowl, but nope. The Jets are winning. The Jets are 5-2. They're going to be 6-2. The Jets just can't stop winning with Zach Wilson. And a good defense, and now James Robinson. Who would thunk at the beginning of the season? And then the Eagles are my lock of the week against the Steelers. Titans will beat the Texans. The Washington Commies will beat the Colts. They'll take that momentum over the Packers and defeat the Colts. The Rams will beat the 49ers. My upset right here is when the Seahawks beat the Giants in a good game because Geno Smith is having a career renaissance. Who would have thunk it at the beginning of the season? I wouldn't have. And then Bills against Packers where Aaron Rodgers is not looking good at all, just like Tom Brady, but Josh Allen is going to take care of him. And then Browns against the Bengals. Please, Lord, let the Browns win. Unfortunately, the Lord doesn't hear the Browns' prayers. It's going to be a Bengals win on Monday night because Browns fans, like us, can't have anything good in life. That means the Browns will go to 2-6. That's right, 2-6. Wow, that is very frustrating. 2-6, actually, like that. Excuse me. 2-6. Yep, it's not easy being a Browns fan, but you know what? It is easy to be a Highland Hornets fan because tonight the Highland Hornets play the Olmsted Falls Bulldogs in a game that will determine the Valley Forge District in volleyball. Best of 5 going up to 25. Whoever wins that will be playing in the regional semifinals. The loser of that will have a long off season. And I will keep you updated on Twitter at Tommy Maroon Sports Show. Make sure you follow me there because that's how you're going to get updates. So until next week, I'm Tommy Maroon. Thank you so much for watching. So long.
You are watching WCTV, Wadsworth Community Television.